There we go. We're live.
Good morning and welcome to the Anne Arundel County Joint Delegation Briefing with the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board. Today's briefing is being live streamed on the MGA website. I'm Chair Heather Bagnall with Vice Chair Delegate Dana Jones, and I want to recognize and thank our Senate counterpart, Chair Dawn Guile, who is on vocal rest today, having lost her voice. So I will be leading the meeting today, and I want to thank all of the members for attending. I also want to recognize our counsel, Matt Carpenter, our delegation secretary, Roger Massey, my chief of staff, Rory Nolan, and Josh Paper, chief of staff to Vice Chair Jones, as well as Allison O'Brien, chief of staff to Chair Guile, who are providing the technical support for this meeting today. As you may recall from last session, we had several alcohol bills which were considered, but the delegation felt strongly that we needed to revisit and modernize the process. So I want to thank Delegate Pruski, co-chair of the Alcohol Subcommittee, and Chair Guile for working with the county in establishing the Alcohol Summer Work Group, and to all of the members and contributions. At this time, I would like to go ahead and welcome Wayne Harris, who is chair of the Board of License Commissioners. And Wayne, I'd like to invite you to introduce your team today.
Yes, I will, and thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. Along with me, I have our new executive director. As some of you may know, Miss Judy Hagner has retired after 48 years with the county. Our new executive director is our administrator that moved up into the position, Mr. Edward Eddie Aronson. And I also have with me our chief inspector, Jim Ford.
Thank you so much. And I know we have some other attendees today from some of the associations. Is there anyone that wants to be recognized before we proceed with the briefing?
Madam Chair, it's Steve Wise. I'm here on behalf of the Anne Arundel County Licensed Beverage Association and happy to answer questions on any bills that you have before you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Wise. And Mr. Harris, if you would like to proceed and talk us through the work that you did and what we will be seeing before the delegation this session.
Yes, I will, and thank you very much. Let me start by saying that the bills that we had tried to get involved in and tried to get passed last year are not at all the same this year, with one exception. The one bill for the deputy chief's position, for those that may remember it, where we requested that his hours be doubled from the present hours of 5 hours per week to 10 per week. Also requesting that his salary be doubled to compensate for that. Well, we are requesting that these bills be replaced on the legislative calendar exactly as it was last year. The other bills, let me kind of preface this. We're not going to travel down the paths for raising increased fees, changing of dance titles, or even the one-day license this year. We don't feel that it really is not ready, or we're not ready to prepare to present it to all of you. So what we're going to do is table that until next year. But I would like to introduce a second bill, and that is to increase the an adjustment to the pay scale for our chief inspector. As you know, the chief inspector is the only full-time inspector, and he is in charge of 1 deputy chief and 18 part-time inspectors in the county. And I can allow, if you don't mind, I'll let Jim speak to that when we're ready. But it's really important to us because of the work that he's doing, not just as a chief inspector, controlling and scheduling the inspectors, but what he's involved in with the database and the new equipment that we're using and various things like that. So if I may, when you're ready, I'll allow the chief to speak to that. But that's the only 2 bills that we would like introduced this year. And one is, like I say, a reiteration of last year's part-time deputy chief. And the second bill is a new bill, and that's increasing or adjusting, I should say, the pay scale from an NR5, which is where he's at now, to an NR15. Now, that would put him between our secretarial rates, which are NR13, and our administrator, who is an NR16, and our executive director, who is an NR17. So that would move the chief up between the secretaries and the administrator's position. So that kind of gave you a general synopsis. Be more than happy to introduce Chief Ford to expound on it more if you wish.
Yeah, go ahead. If you would go ahead and do that. And then once you've given your presentation, we'll open it up for questions from the members.
Okay, very good. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Ford then.
Sure. I think the chairman teed it up pretty well. We're really looking at an adjustment for this role. This role, has become, I would say it's fair to say, a little more critical than even what was imagined when the role was first came into being. And it also, as the chairman mentioned, sort of slots it appropriately internally in the liquor board in between some positions where the board feels the value currently lays with the position. It also ensures that there's a competitive salary moving forward. If I fall down tomorrow, hit my head, so that the board has the ability to go out there and get somebody who they can bring in at a competitive rate. Just want to emphasize that this does not mean an increase to license fees, zero to the taxpayers. Comps with other Anne Arundel County roles, there really aren't any great comps, whether it's with internally in the county or even externally. But I think sort of the easiest comparison, but again, not a great one, is with chief building inspections, chief of electrical inspections, plumbing. They're at the NR19 scale, but also not a great comparison again, because they have a larger scope. They oversee full departments, full-time employees. But again, they're at a 19. We did look at other counties in Maryland, and again, each one of these counties, they're so different in how they're structured. Their chief inspectors have different roles. Some of them, one is a full-time police officer who's also the chief. So it's not great, but the closest two that we found were PG County. Their chief inspector is at a pay rate equal to roughly NR 18 or 19 in Anne Arundel County. They actually have two full-time deputy chiefs, which are paid at our equivalent of 17 and around a 17 at AA County. They have 19 part-time inspectors. Montgomery County, they call it a compliance manager. That's their chief inspector. That pay scale is roughly equal to an NR 20 in Anne Arundel County. So that's kind of the gist. This is an adjustment to get this role sort of aligned with as best we can internally within the liquor board, the county, and even somewhat across similar roles at the state, at other counties.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before I open it up to the members, I just wanted to clarify that that you said that you already have within your budget, like the internal resources to cover these increases without
Yes.
increasing the fees. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And if I can, I'll just turn briefly to our new executive director, Eddie Aronson, who can explain how we know exactly how we stand today versus what we didn't know last year. Mr. Aronson.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
so much.
this kind of goes with the justification of maintaining our current annual fees. We spent a lot of time this summer, and we actually found out that going with the state, the Office of Finance, Budget Office, we were able to do a detailed analysis of our expenditures, our revenue, and our surplus. So we have found and have been able to verify that on average in the last 5 years, we generate a surplus of approximately $150,000. This surplus goes to the general fund. So that's why we justified not raising the annual fees, because if we can use some of the surplus, if we're approved during the budget process, we can do a lot with a little bit of these funds, which would also include the pay increase for the NR rating for the chief inspector and the additional hours for the deputy chief inspector. Our expenditures would still remain below our revenue.
And one more point of clarity, and I think you're all aware of this, we're really talking about the pay scale here, not the salary. So this empowers the board to determine what my salary or this role's salary would actually be. So in their wisdom tomorrow, they could come forward and say, this, you're actually going to make less than what you make now based on the pay scale. So it really just gives them the latitude to decide whether I'm at the lower end, high end, somewhere in the middle.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn to my counterpart, Senator Guile, to see if there's anything you would like to add before we open it up to the members, because I know you and Delegate Pruski were doing yeoman's work this summer as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Wayne, perhaps, Mr. Harris, maybe you could provide a little bit of information. I know during the course of our meetings, we had some discussions with the ATCC, and I think it may be helpful to educate some of the members about how that budget process works and how where the money flows. Just because I think that some clarification as to, or some understanding as to how we previously thought there was a deficit and now we have, more money than we thought we had. So maybe a little bit further explanation or details might be helpful if you could.
Sure, absolutely. So our budget is approved by the state, which is now ATCC. It used to be the comptroller. They added another department for the Alcohol, Tobacco, Cannabis Commission. So they approve our budget, and then we collect our funds. Our funds are then sent to the state. At that time, the county basically will pay our bills and then send over an invoice to the state every quarter for our expenditures. That has gone, it's been a little difficult because the change in from the state comptroller to the ATCC, but they're actually getting it now down to a science. Everybody is aware of what's going where. It was hard for us because we would use the county system to go in and see what we've spent, what the revenues were, and they just didn't match up. Because of the reconciliation between the county and also the state, we had to wait several months before we could actually find out what the actual surplus, that there was a surplus. So that's where it stands. Our budget is approved by the comptroller. Our funds are sent to the state, and then the county will send over an invoice quarterly to the state. The fourth quarter, whatever is left in our account is then sent to the county. So the county will allocate it to whatever our budget is, the actual budget, and then whatever is left then goes to the general fund.
Thank you very much for that explanation. I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Guile. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions from the members. So if anyone has questions for the board. Just looking to see. Senator Lamb.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Bagnall. Thank you to the board. I apologize, I'm off screen. I'm just kind of in transit between things, but wanted to bring this before the board, and I know it's a little bit off from the bills that are being discussed here, but I've been hearing more concerns about discrimination against certain retailers within Anne Arundel County. And I was wondering if you collect any data on the racial makeup of disciplinary cases against licensees.
No, we do not. If I can answer, and thank you for the question, Senator Lamb. No, we do not keep any records, and I can ask for confirmation.
That is correct.
We don't keep any records at all in reference to, race or anything of that nature. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions about a specific group if that's the way you want to approach this. But no, we don't keep any records for that. And I can assure you that, to my knowledge, we have not profiled or pointed out or picked out any racial group for any reason. We're very careful not to do that.
Yeah, at this point, we could probably break it down per class, but that's about all the data that we collect as what class and the violations and the adjudication.
But that has nothing to do with the race.
Correct. Yeah,
The
it's just the class of
licensees or anything.
license.
It's
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
class
it's the
of
class of
license.
license.
whether it be a Class C club or a Class A retail, so forth.
Senator
Okay.
Lamb,
Okay.
if it's okay if I were to chime in. So we have seen something anecdotally. While we don't track data, we have been working with licensees across the county on this issue of dancing that everybody has heard about. And we found that there are certain establishments that either don't understand that they can't do certain things permitted under their license. And we feel like there might be a few bad actors out there who understand they can't do it and maybe doing it anyway. So it's up to us to sort of look across the spectrum of who may be doing this. And we have found that anecdotally that there have been more Latin restaurants that we've been dealing with on this issue. And that is just because that's what it is. And it's not all them, but we have found that it has skewed a little bit more in that direction. So I don't want to open a can of worms, but I want you to know that we're aware of that we are sensitive to it, that we are very careful not to pick out anybody, of course, but it just so happens that anecdotally it's skewing a little bit more that way just for the moment.
Okay. It's not only those groups. I've been hearing from Asian American retailers who feel like the cases that appear before the liquor board are adjudicated in a fashion that they don't feel like is unbiased. And so, and I understand from what you're describing, you don't actually collect the racial data. You only have the classification data based on the licensee. Would you be open to considering adding a liquor license application, adding to the liquor license application like a voluntary question on the applicant of the race? On the race of the applicant, rather.
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, we haven't given that any thought because we didn't want to step over a border or step into an area that extremely sensitive, but we'd be willing to discuss this if that's what you're requesting. Absolutely. And also, Senator Lamb, let me make it clear, not just to you, but to everybody, the senators and the delegates. I have always said since I've been chairman, and I know previously as well, that if any of you have any licensees or any of your constituents that feel that we're unjustly picking on them or pulling them out of a group or anything, please feel free to call us. We'll be more than happy to discuss it. I can tell you that the few inquiries that may have been made in the past, we've almost always found that it was relative to a fact that there was a non-compliance charge placed against them, and their response was, "You're picking on me," or something like that. That was an occasional thing once in a while. But that was not of any specific race or gender.
And Mr. Harris, if I can ask of you to make yourself available to the senator to discuss this further, so we can see if there, to his point, if maybe we could do a voluntary addition to the licensing application, or if we can also speak with Mr. Carpenter to see if there are any restrictions in existing law and or how we could address that. Would that satisfy you, Senator?
Yeah, I think that was our intention as well, to follow up, but just wanted to put it on their radar. Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
no, and we're more than willing. As a matter of fact, I'm extremely open to that. I think the more conversation we have between ourselves, the better off we'll all be, as well as the constituents out in the field.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn to Delegate Rogers and then Delegate Pena-Melnick.
Thank you, Chair Bagnall. I just wanted to say if I could be included with Senator Lamb as part of that kind of conversation, because I've heard similar things with respect to the fines, and it'd be interesting to sort of get a snapshot of who's fined and what that looks like, because I think that would be helpful in terms of addressing some of what Senator Lamb has said. But again, anecdotally, I've heard some similar complaints. So I'd like to be part of that conversation. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Delegate. And thank you all for volunteering to continue the work of the work group. I think this is very valuable. Delegate Peña-Melnick.
Good morning, and thank you so much for the work you do. And thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to ask, Madam Chair, is it possible that your office can ask the Attorney General's office regarding the collection of the racial data, if it's allowed, so that we can go ahead and do that?
Thank you. That's a great suggestion, and we will do that. We will do that immediately. So thank you.
Thank
So we
you
can
so
get
much.
we can get that answer.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have to apologize, but we're having a problem understanding what was said. There's some kind of an echo or something that we're receiving on our end. So if you could just clarify what you need from us, we're more than happy to provide anything.
Certainly. So Chair Peña-Melnick pointed out that we could reach out to the Attorney General's office to get an opinion. So we will take care of that from our office. And then we will coordinate with you and continue the work of the work group. I do also want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much to everyone who worked so diligently during the interim. I think that we have established a better working relationship between the county, the liquor board, and our joint delegation. And I think it's going to help inform our work going forward. I do still have a couple of hands up, but I'm not sure if they're still up from before. Senator Lamb or Delegate Peña-Melnick, did you have another question?
No, sorry, let me take my note down.
And this is Delegate Peña-Melnick. Another suggestion that I have respectfully is if you can ask the library to look at the other jurisdictions to see if they have such, how they deal with that. Because I know this has come up before, so that we can just copy and paste. Because I think it's done, if they can look at Prince George's in Montgomery, that would be great. In Baltimore City. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you very much for the suggestion. I know Rory is taking notes. And in case the liquor board didn't hear that, again, it's looking at other jurisdictions, asking the library to look at how other jurisdictions have addressed this issue, specifically Prince George's, Montgomery, Baltimore City, because we think that there may already be a framework for us to utilize.
Yeah, if I could add, I know the state, because every year every jurisdiction has to send reports to the state of our violations, what type of violations, the class of licenses we have. So every year they do a report. So that would probably be very helpful to all of us, because it's all the counties.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
That's available.
And if I may, Chairwoman Bagnell, I just want to take a moment. Last year, when we were meeting and we were talking about the bills that were in front of you at that time, there were suggestions that came out of the delegation. Delegate Pruski and Delegate Rogers and others suggested that we look at our hiring practices. And the only thing I want to do is make sure you're aware, everybody's aware of, we took a real close look at that, and we have changed the way things occur when it comes to hiring or filling the position. As a matter of fact, because of our former executive director, Hagner, retiring, that left a vacancy. We advertised it, and we did so for a period of time before it was awarded, and then that left a vacancy in the administrator's position. We did the same thing, and then we had a vacancy in the secretarial pool, and we did that. And all inspectors' positions are being advertised. So we've taken steps to do exactly what we feel the delegates were talking about, and it's worked out very well for us. We were glad to do it. We've gotten some good responses, and we're in the process of filling the last vacancy for secretarial position, which was vacated due to a promotion within. So I just wanted to take time to thank everybody who was involved in those suggestions and tell them how much we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate that too. I know that that this delegation is very sensitive to making sure that that we are reaching across the entire spectrum of Anne Arundel County, especially in our hiring processes. Are there any other questions from the delegation, from the House or the Senate? All right, well, it sounds like we've got our work cut out for us. Thank you again to everyone for all of your diligent work during the interim, and I look forward to us being able to consider these bills before the delegation. Before we conclude our meeting today, just a reminder that our House delegation will be meeting on this Monday, November 18th at 11 a.m. to elect our leadership for the 2025 season. This will be live streamed on the MGA website. And to our full delegation, we are still working to set the date for our December LBI meeting. So please stay tuned. Do we have any comments? I was going to say, I see Senator Guile, and I heard Rory. Go ahead.
Thank you much, very much, Madam Chair. If it's possible, I know we also had on the agenda, I know Mr. Wise, Steve Wise is here. And I if it's possible for him, there's a bill that he's been working on with his clients. And if it's possible for him to tell us a little bit about what we can anticipate for that bill.
Oh, yes, absolutely. My apologies that I overlooked that on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Steve.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Gile and Delegate Bagnall. And I'll make this very quick because I know obviously with session coming, we'll be talking about this a lot more. But by way of background, one of the bills on your agenda would implement a license population quota in the county. And this is a mechanism that exists in about 11 other counties right now. And it would establish a ratio for the issuance of Class A, which are package store licenses, and Class D licenses, which are tavern licenses, which have off-premise privileges. And it would set a population ratio for the issuance of those licenses. There is on the books today a discretionary law that has a population quota in it, but it is discretionary and has not been implemented. This bill would implement that mechanism. Why are we asking for that? In our view, it will provide a level of predictability about the issuance of off-premise licenses to everybody involved. And that includes the applicants who would come in, the board who has to determine whether or not to issue the license, and also nearby licensees. So the way it would work and the way the law already sets it up, it uses the assessment districts in the county. Those are established in the county code by a map. And the current law establishes a ratio of one off-premise license per 4,000 people in the district. That we carry that forward. We're happy to show you what we think that looks like going forward. It would, in some areas, not allow the issuance of additional licenses until the population were to grow. But we would like to pin down those numbers a little bit better with the board between now and session, just to make sure we're all aware of what the current situation is out there. But again, this is something that exists in most all of the populated counties, more heavily populated counties, and we think would provide a level of predictability to everybody involved. We have met with the board, just so you know. They had some questions which we responded to in writing. We're happy to continue that conversation, and I'm happy to sit down with anybody in the delegation who would like to learn more about it. I just finally would reference that Kim Lawson from Fish Paws and Julie and Sullivan are both on the call. They're not speaking today, but I just want to let you know that they were here. They're both owners of licensed establishments in the county.
Yeah. Delegate Bagnell, if I may.
Let's go
Mr.
ahead.
Wise, thank you. Mr. Wise, thank you. And yes, we have been in talks with you. I'm not sure if you're aware of it or if it's gotten lost, but we sent Jimmy Fraley had sent you a brief with a couple questions that we felt were very important for us to dive a little deeper in this. We haven't heard back from you, and I do think it's important. So if you need to have that resent, or if you can't find it or whatever, I do think it is important that you address those questions for the board's sake.
Yeah, and I'll go back and look, Mr. Chairman, but I did get a long list of questions which we sent written responses back to. So, but I'll follow up with you to make sure that we're on the same page.
Yes, please do, because it was not that list. It was a follow-up email from our attorney, Jamie Fraley, in reference to a couple of questions the board had that we felt was important. But yeah, follow up with me. We'll reissue it or resend it to you, and we'll go from there. Thank
That's
you.
fine, and I'm sorry if I didn't see that, but
Okay.
certainly we'll continue the communication.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. And I see Senator Bidle's hand, Bidle's hand is up. Senator Bidle, do we have you? I think we may have lost Senator Bidle. So I will come back to the good senator, but I did want to open it up to any members if anyone has further comment, if you have additional concerns while we have the board here. I see Senator Guile and then Senator Lamb and then Delegate Rogers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure if now is the appropriate time if some of the others have questions specifically for the board, but I did want to I know that Senator Simonaire was working on some additional alcohol-related bills, and to the extent he wanted an opportunity to speak or explain any of those that he might be working on, I did want to give him that opportunity as well. But I'll kind of leave it to the judgment of Senator Simonaire.
Yeah, thank you. I'm still working on some final details. I'll be presenting that hopefully before session. I'll reach out to you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, senators. Senator Bidle, do we have you back? All right, Senator Lamb, go ahead.
All right, thank you. This question, I guess, is just a follow-up from Mr. Wise. You had mentioned that it sounds as though some districts may be more limited or constrained in being able to issue licenses if that legislation were to pass. Are you able to get us the follow-up information of which districts those would be? Or is that information you're still waiting for from the board or whatnot? Go ahead.
The short answer is certainly we'd be more than willing to give that to you. And to the issue of the numbers, I think what we'd like to do is sit down and sort of make sure that what we think the numbers are matches up with what the board has. And that way, you know, when we get into a discussion of what should be the appropriate ratio, we're all working with the same facts. So I'll reach out to Mr. Harris and we'll try to do that. And I think that'll help us provide an accurate answer to your question.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and if I may, I'll just add that, you know, there's more than questions simply about the quota, but also about the administration, the cost involved, who would handle it, who would supervise it, who would be paying for it. I mean, it's just, you know, these are things that Mr. Wise and the board have are in process of discussing, and hopefully be able to get some clarity before it's presented to you, and hopefully that will help out also, Senator.
Thank you.
Chair Bagnell, it's Senator Bidle.
Yeah, sorry. Senator Bidle, I think we have Senator Bidle back, so go ahead.
Thank Thank you. I was there. I just couldn't figure out how to unmute. Thank you. Mr. Wise, can you tell me if other counties like Prince George's and Baltimore City have complained about a concentration of liquor stores in certain areas? Have other counties implemented this ratio?
Yes, they have. And you mentioned Prince George's in particular. I just want to give you a little distinction there. They don't do it necessarily by population. They have put in statute many years ago, sort of a hard cap on the number of licenses that can be issued there. So, but other counties have exactly what we're proposing here, a ratio. And to be clear, if there are licenses available in a district based on the population, it doesn't result in an automatic issuance of the license. The board would still very much be important in their role of determining if there is a public need in the immediate area where that license is applied for. And so that we don't have the clustering of licenses that many counties are concerned with. So they would still serve that role, and that mechanism would still be there to address the concern that you raised of an overconcentration of licenses. But the population quota is also designed to help prevent an overissuance of licenses.
Thank you very much. Delegate Rogers.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Bagnell. So Steve, just a quick question. Did I hear you say that, I guess it was, several years ago, that a discretionary population quota was already put in effect, was implemented in Anne Arundel County, and this is just perhaps a way to provide a solution for, ways to enforce what we already have on the books?
So the law has been on the books, but it was never required that the board, and not just this board, historically the board, going back probably 20 or more years, it was never required that they implement the population quota. But yes, a quota has been in the statute. The big thing this bill does is take it from being discretionary to saying this shall be implemented.
Okay. Oh, and then I guess the follow on is, and I know you said a couple folks were on board, but this is something that the owners are actually looking for as well,
Yeah,
or in support of.
my client is the association in the county. Many of you know I also represent the state association, but in this case, this bill is unique to Anne Arundel. And so they are supportive of it. Much like any association, we can't sit here and tell you that we've talked to every licensee in the county, and they're not all members of the association, but I can tell you that it's got the solid support of the members of the association.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the members from the House or the Senate? Well, I want to thank everyone for your time today. I went back and double checked the agenda to make sure I wasn't missing anything else. So thank you, Chair Guile, for keeping me on track. Thank you, everyone, for all of your hard work. Wayne, thank you to you and your team for being here and you giving us your time, and for continuing to build this relationship with the delegation, because I think it's going to not just streamline our work, but actually make our work more effective. With that, just once again, the reminders about Monday, November 18th, to the House delegation, 11 a.m. We will be meeting on Zoom to elect our leadership. It will be live streamed. Our full delegation, we're looking at a date for that December LBI meeting. If you, I will, as leadership always says, make sure that you are considering your legislation. January is going to be here very, very quickly. So drink water, get rest, take your vitamins, and I look forward to seeing you in person very soon. With that, if there are no more comments or concerns from the members, we are concluded. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest.